guys, welcome to module 4 of how to create your YouTube channel from scratch. In this module, we're going to be talking about how to shoot your video. Things we're going to get into are how to create a video outline so that you make sure that your video stays on point. This is really important so you can focus your video around the keywords that you researched. We're also going to get into the equipment that you might need to shoot your videos. So we're going to look at a DSLR camera, we're going to look at shooting on mobile, we're going to talk about why resolution of your video is important, and also we're going to look into audio, because if you don't get the audio right, people will leave your video. We're going to talk about basic lighting and how to get the best out of what lighting you have. We're also going to talk about framing the subject in case you want to put graphics in your video. We're also going to talk about one of the things that most creators find hard to do, and that is presenting to camera. I'm going to give you some tips and some strategies to make that easier. Okay, let's go create. So this section is how to outline your video with something I call ABC. Now, Ricky, what the heck is ABC? I'm sure you're intrigued. Well, A stands for attention. You need to tell your viewer what they can expect in the video. Make sure it ties in with the title. Remember that title that you lovingly researched? That's to make sure that this video gets views. Something that you should know, and it's part of the YouTube algorithms. I said algorithms, it's not just one algorithm. YouTube has machine learning going on in the background, and it analyzes all the videos that everybody uploads, and the speech in those videos gets converted into text, and YouTube checks your video is relevant and ranks it accordingly. It's important to add those keywords in the first 15 seconds of your video. YouTube will match them against the title and the description, and it will rank your video if that ties in. The next part of your outline is to be you, and that means to get into the content as soon as possible. This is where you keep the viewer engaged for as long as possible. Now that's really important, because what this does, this creates view duration, and that means watch time. Now if you're monetized, watch time is king, because that means you are going to get paid for the ads that get displayed on your videos. This is why subscribers are not as important. They are an important metric, but they are not important. Watch time and average view duration means your video will get pushed out to more people, and as a result you will get subscribers. You need to make sure you keep your viewers engaged for as long as possible, and you do this by being you. Don't feel the need to apologize for your hair or because you haven't posted in a month. Don't bother your viewer with the trivialities. They don't get that. They've clicked on the video because of the title and the thumbnail. Get into the meat of the content as fast as you can. Once you have delivered that content, that value to your subscriber, to your viewer, then what you need to do is close and promote. Close the video. If you don't capture the viewer's attention in the first 15 seconds, they will click off your video. So make sure you please do not put a promo bumper at the beginning of your videos. It kills your watch time, and it kills your average view duration, and it does not get you subscribers. People want the content straight away. The reason people bang their promos at the front of their videos is to promote themselves and get subscribers. But you have a better chance of getting a subscriber after you have delivered the value, the promise of the video title and thumbnail. So what you do is, once you've delivered that value, then and only then you ask for the like, ask for the subscribe. That makes a lot of sense, because if somebody's watched all the way to the end of your video, they like you. If they don't like you, they won't watch all the video. If they get to the end, these are your true fans. Another thing to consider at the end of your video is something called the end screen. The end screen is super important. This is a 5 to 20 second section at the end of your video video that YouTube gives you to promote your other videos and your most watched playlist. I'm going to get into that in the final module of this course. And also, it gives you an additional subscribe button. So please don't worry about asking for the subscribe, because I'm going to show you in how to edit your video, how you can do that in a non-intrusive way that makes so much more sense. So now what you need to do is plan your shooting day, especially if you plan to bulk shoot for several videos. This is probably the most effective way to gather as much content as you possibly can. Bulk shooting is very effective because once you've edited your videos, you can schedule them for weeks ahead. That content will go out. But plan your shooting days so that you don't have to rush off somewhere, so that you can completely focus on the task in hand. The outline is what your viewers see, so it helps you to know exactly what you're going to shoot. And what you are going to shoot is that topic that's based on that keyword research. So what we need to do first thing is to take that topic idea, and then we're going to structure a layout of the video's main talking points. Things you might want to consider are, where are you going to shoot these main talking points? This is going to be critical because this is going to help you with your view duration and your watch time. By mixing up your locations and your scenes, that keeps the video interesting. The longer you keep your viewers' interest, the longer your watch time will be, and the longer your average view duration will be. So it's important to know how long your video is going to be. Another reason is that YouTube doesn't like super short videos because it means it can't put so many ads in them. Be under no illusion, YouTube exists as an advertising platform. That's how Google make their money. Now, new rules recently have seen that videos over 8 minutes long can get mid-roll ads, and that means more money if you are a creator that is monetized. This is why I say think about how long your video is going to be, and then you can plan where you might put those mid-roll ads so they're not too obtrusive to the viewer experience. Now, what we need to bear in mind as we outline the video is that we have to build in something called shoot to edit. We want the editing process to be efficient and quick. So if you plan a 30-minute video, you have to realize you may end up shooting 4 hours of video and editing that down. So now you've thought about all those things there that I mentioned. What you're going to do is use a notebook. I highly recommend a notebook because all you need to do is write something down, and you don't have to wait for a computer to boot up. So what we do is we take a piece of paper and we start with your title. Remember, that title is based on your key phrase research, your keyword research. So you take those keywords and maybe even some of the tags that you've discovered and brain dump all those ideas onto a piece of paper, and then what you can do is you can pick the best bits. Once you've picked those best bits, you can discard the things that you think might be too hard to shoot or aren't really relevant to the video, and then what you do is you revise that brain dump, you turn that into items you are going to shoot during the video. Now, each item may have several talking points, and what you want to do is bullet point those talking points in order. And it's a good idea to think about the location you're going to shoot those talking points. Another thing to think about is, do you need to script what you are going to say? A script can be very, very strict, and for me that's something that I find is very hard. And finally, the last thing you might need to think about, and this is something called B-roll, which is additional footage. Now, this can be super helpful if you have taken footage and you feel that your voice is good, you explained yourself well, but you might have appeared a bit flat on screen. You might not have been looking in the camera. So you can overlay other video footage or images to preserve the great delivery but the poor visual. But another advantage of this is it breaks up the pattern and maintains the viewer's interest, which then in turn lengthens lengthens your average view duration and your watch time. So now you have an idea of how to outline your video. Next, we're going to look at the equipment to actually capture and shoot your video. So guys, let's talk about gear. Most people think you have to shoot your videos on a fancy DSLR like this. This is my Canon M50 DSLR, and let me tell you, I only rewarded myself with this once I felt I had some traction on my channel. But my first videos I recorded on my Mac using the webcam. So this isn't a necessary item to shoot your videos in. It will give you a better quality, and this one is great because it has a flippy screen, and then if you swivel it around you can see yourself, you can preview yourself in this screen here and see what you're doing. And now this is an old 6S Plus, and I've done a lot of videos with this phone. Now what I did was I kitted this out. This is a special case. This fits something called an Olo clip, and what the Olo clip does is it enables you to fit like a wide angle lens. I can put a wide angle lens on the front of here, and I also swapped around to be a fisheye lens as well. That made my video quality much better as I could capture a wider field of vision. Another cool thing about the Olo clip case is you get these that click in and on to the case itself very securely, and these become points for you to mount a tripod on. Now I have a handheld tripod. This little desk tripod is pretty amazing. This desk tripod stands on your desk for shooting, but it also has this movable gimbal. You can switch that around. It's got a movable gimbal there. You can change the angles, but also it folds down and it becomes a handle for if you want to do any sort of outside vlogging. This then screws into my case thing here, and then now I have this setup, which is rather cool. So I've got that there, and I can add this section here. This has a cold shoe mount, and then I can put a microphone on it, and I have a pretty cool vlogging setup. That's still pretty advanced. You don't need all this. What you can get away with is something like this. This is a GoPro clone I bought off Amazon for £25, and this shoots in 4K. It comes with all the underwater stuff, and it has a little fitting in there, and I could use this. The camera on this is a little bit more of a fisheye deal, but you've got a display screen in the back there, so that's plenty good enough if you do action videos. There's a lot of function on this for what it is, so that's a good little bit of kit. If you can't afford all that clip kit for the phone like I have here, because that cost about £80, then all you need is one of these. This is a little springy mount that has the thread here. Also, I can put that little tripod mount in there, and now I have a different kind of tripod. Now, to give you an idea of what kind of gear you can super get away with, this is my old iPhone 5S. Now this thing has been out of commission for a while, but I still use it for shooting video. The front facing camera is 1080p and the selfie camera is 720p. So when it comes to the equipment that you need, the most important bit of kit you need is a decent microphone. This is a Movo VXR 10GY. This has the hot shoe mount. The audio from this is absolutely fantastic. You don't need to buy a Rode mic because that'll cost you twice as much. This does is an equally a good a job. And the reason you want a good mic is because audio is the one thing that will make someone turn your video off if it is poor. So make sure you get a good mic. If this isn't a solution for you because of expense, then what you can do is you can get yourself another kind of mic. Also, this thing here, this is wind cancellation, so this means you can use it outside. It's called a dead cat. Another solution to get good audio into your phone is this. This was a cheap purchase. This is a 4-meter long cable on this, and this is a lavalier mic, a lav mic, a tie clip mic, whatever you want to call it. And this will give you great sound. You just clip it onto your clothing here with this, and then you shoot your video. Essentially, an old iPhone 5S, you might even have a phone like this knocking around the house, because it's that old. It's probably about 12 years old is that one. I know that the iPhone 6S is from 2014. So what I'm saying here, guys, is you don't need to get yourself a DSLR. You can use a phone to start with. As you progress, you will grow your gear. And I know I mentioned this desktop tripod, but a standard tripod, which I can't fit in frame here, is going to cost you about £15. And that helps if you need a good, sturdy, solid shot. And that's about all you need. Another way to shoot video, hopefully I can get the reflection of this, I am recording this here with my C920 that you can see there. This is on a boom arm. Got this on a boom arm. Oh, and there I am. It's very tempting to get into buying gear for the sake of buying gear because you think you need this gadget, that gadget. The most important thing is to plan the videos, shoot them, edit them. Most of the work of making a video look good is in the editing process. Okay guys, so that's equipment. Next thing I'm going to talk about is resolution. So, what is video resolution? The resolution is essentially how many dots per centimeter you get in an image, how many pixels. And as you can see from this diagram here, what we have is we've got standard definition, this is SD, up to 4K. Now I know that some modern phones actually go up to 8K, that's extremely high resolution. We're shooting our YouTube videos in 16.9 frame ratio. We want to make sure that we get the best quality. YouTube prioritizes HD quality video. Not necessarily 4K, there is a slight boost maybe on 4K, but when you're working with 4K, you have to remember that you are working with bigger file sizes. So if your computer is slow, if your phone is slow, it's going to struggle and it's going to take time to do that. It takes up a lot more memory on your device. If you've ever seen a video that looks really grainy and pixelated, that is in standard definition. Now moving forward, coming to 720p, this is classed as high definition, but really it isn't the highest definition that you can get. Thing to bear in mind, if you are using your mobile phone to shoot video, the selfie camera will always have a lower resolution than the front-facing camera. Now, the standard that you want to be shooting your videos in is in full HD. This is 1080p. When you upload a video, YouTube will tell you what resolution it sees it as. Now, if you've got a super modern phone, you can go up to Quad HD and you can even go up to 4K. But remember what I said about file size. 4K isn't necessary. It consumes a lot of processing power when it comes to editing those videos. You want to think about it. Go for that sweet spot right in between and go for full HD. That's all we need right now. So now we're going to talk about audio. Now you can use the microphone that's in your phone if you are using your phone, but generally you will find that the audio quality won't be great and it won't really enhance the viewer experience of your video. Now if you're doing speaking to camera, then it makes sense to get yourself one of those cheap lavalier mics. Now I will say the cheaper ones do tend to sound a bit tinny, but they're still better than your mobile phone one. The next mic you want to look at is something that you can plug into your phone, but you might want to plug it into your camera as well. This is a real sort of future-proofing method. This is the Movo that I have, and this is a directional mic. The audio quality from this is fantastic. Rode, R-O-D-E, they do their own version of this, but this is the budget model. Like I said, this was £40. And considering that audio is the deal breaker whether somebody watches your video, then it's really important to get that nailed down. So it's worth the investment. Now, if you're shooting videos like me here at a computer, and I'm using my Marantz here, this is the Marantz PodPack 1. This is a USB mic, this plugs straight in. You may have heard of a mic called the Blue Yeti. This is equally just as good, and this is half the price. This is a £40 mic, and it comes with the angled bracket arm thing. which make it really sturdy and really useful. And I've used this mic for recording instruments and it's produced some wonderful results. Now, if you're super pro about your audio, then what you really want to do is get yourself an audio interface that goes into your laptop or your computer, and that will really help to shape your audio. But this isn't what you should start out with. This is what you should aim towards. Just like I rewarded myself with a DSLR camera, this is a similar principle with the audio gear. Once you have some traction on your channel, it's always a good idea to keep upping your production values. And like I say, audio is the most important thing. So let's talk lighting. Lighting is all about getting light into that lens so that you can capture a good video. Now, the best form of lighting is natural light. It is sunlight. If you can get sunlight into your videos, that is the cheapest because it's free, and it generally covers all areas that need to be lit. But you may be shooting indoors, so if you're shooting indoors, use a window, face the window and catch the light that way. But the problem is, as the light goes in, as the day fades, you have a problem in needing light, and you don't want to be held hostage to having to film during the day when the sun is out. You want to be able to film anytime you please. And this is where softboxes and LED lights come into play. Now, this is a more professional kind of setup and something that you are hoping to aim for unless you are looking to create a career creating videos and photographing models. You don't need all the expensive gear. You can get away with a simple ring light. Now, a ring light, you put your phone in the hole, and the ring light is the thing that puts those little circles in your eyes in the videos. You know the ones I'm on about. So this is usually used by beauty vloggers, but you definitely need to make sure you light up everything. This is a cheap lighting system, and this is the one I've been using in my videos. For this course, I just have an angle poised lamp. I turn the lamp on and then I shine it in my face. It feels like an interrogation at times, but it does the job. It lights me up. I sit in the room that is dark, and what helps is some accent lighting behind my computer monitors. That works very well for this. And these are simple LED lights that are in globes, and they give me a lovely accent behind the image. Okay guys, so in this section we're going to talk about framing the subject, and as you can see we have a library bookshelf as our backdrop, and the first layout that we're going to look at for framing the subject is one called rule of thirds. Now, rule of thirds is where we divide the frame into thirds across the horizontal and the vertical. And what happens is where these red dots are is where the point of focus becomes. And that's where we want to put any points of interest, our subject, our presenter, yourself. So we have put our subject in there, and you can see her face is on one of those focus points, and when we take the grid away, you can see she is aligned with 1/3. Now, this is useful in case we want to add any extra elements to the video, and that could be text and graphics. That is a safe area for you to put those text and graphics. The next concept we want to look at is something called leading lines. Now, you can see that this corridor leads your eye all the way to the back of the corridor, and this is very common. It's good for a set. If you're out and about and you're shooting, then what you can do is you can put the leading lines principle into action, and you can see from this image here, which is quite striking with color and light, that this still uses that leading lines concept, and it also uses a central figure which ties in with the next subject. And here we have symmetry. This is a symmetrical pattern using the concept of leading lines down there as well, and you can see that this image is divided in half. This gives it some drama. one of the things we need to make sure that we consider is headroom, and this is the gap between the head of the subject and the top of the frame. We want to reserve a little bit of space so it doesn't look too claustrophobic and cramped. What you want to do is you want to mix up your scenes so that they use a variety of these different techniques just to keep the viewers' interest. It makes the video far more interesting, and that means they watch for longer. Okay, on to the next section. Okay guys, in this section we're going to talk about presenting to the camera. Now up to now we've not recorded anything. You are ready to hit that record button. You've decided how to frame yourself in shot. You might be using the rule of thirds, you might be using symmetry, and you've made sure that you've got your headroom. But now you're looking in the camera, and here is where the nerves kick in. Here are some tips for presenting to camera. Speaking speed. Speak slowly and clearly. If you rush, then people aren't going to see what it's going to say and you're going to dribble all your words. If you don't get it right, do it again. This is a trick that I use called shoot to edit, and I leave big gaps in between dialogue so that I can cut out the silences and any breath. If you speak slowly and clearly, then you can put emphasis on important words. Don't know what to do with your hands? If you don't know what to do with your hands, the simplest solution is to lock your fingers and sit with them on your lap. But don't forget that hands form part of how we communicate, and they can help to make a point. The lens. Look into the lens, into the glass of the lens. Don't look at the preview screen. If you look at the screen, then you are not going to communicate, and people are going to feel like you're reading off an auto cue. Feel stunted and unnatural. So look into the lens. If you struggle looking into the lens, pretend you're talking to your best friend or somebody you love or somebody that you think is really cool. Energy. When the pros shoot, generally there is a countdown, and this introduces an idea that I call up in 3. Now I want my energy to be up on 3. If I was producing, I'd go 5, 4. As soon as I hit 3, I bring my energy up. So 5, 4. Hey up guys! It doesn't go amiss to start with a smile. If you have more than one camera, then clapping loudly creates an audio spike, and you will use that in the editing process to line up that footage and match it. Do you need a script? Some people work well to a script and find it easy enough to remember all the things that they have to remember. But if that feels too strict, write out a list of the main speaking points in the scene and position any cues close to the camera lens itself, not too far away so it looks like you are reading something in the distance. People can see your eyes moving. I have my bullet points just here. Well done guys, that was module 4. In the next module we are going to talk about editing your video. You will see why we need those gaps in my editing process. I'm going to show you some free software for editing your videos. I'm going to talk about building scenes, B-roll, jump cut, overlay and graphics, sourcing video clips, and sourcing royalty-free music that you can add underneath your video to make it more dynamic. And finally, we're going to talk about exporting your video. So I'll see you in the next module.